Please welcome Vice President Network Planning, Verizon, Lee Hicks.
Thank you. Thank you and good morning. Thanks to Calix for the continued partnership and the opportunity to speak to you guys this morning. Also, I know there's some of our suppliers in the room here as well, and I want to thank you guys for your continued support. And I'm sure there's a few Verizon customers here as well, so thank you as well. Well, again, this is my third time, I think, speaking here, and what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is in theme with the theme for the overall conference, Once Imagined, Now Real, and what we're doing with Calix in terms of our access network. And I want to talk about what we think we need and how NG-PON2 solves that, and then give you some real-life examples of problems that we're solving using the Calix platform. So we start with, what's needed in access. And you start with that, of course, with fiber. We know, for example, that twisted pair, which we started with, is good. Coax is a little better, but as Carl said, nothing beats fiber. And of course, we're all in on fiber. We have been since we started with our Fiber to the Prem program in 2003. And recently, we've made a lot of announcements how we're doubling down on that fiber investment to support not only our 4G densification program, but our 5G rollout as well. Fiber, as you know, has great advantages in terms of reliability across environmental factors. It also offers superior upstream performance for our network. Looking beyond fiber, speed and low latency to the home is going to be needed as we drive that next set of applications that we've been talking about. We know things like higher quality 4K TV, AR and VR are coming to the home. Medicine, telemedicine, another example of things that are going to require low latency and very high bandwidth. Besides that, looking at next, reliability. There was a time when the most important thing to your home was your phone line, and then you might have said after that it might have been your video service. Today, if you ask people of the triple play, what's the most important thing you have into your home, they're going to say it's your broadband connection. So the reliability of that connection to the home has never been more important. And finally, we're going to need to have simplification. Our network, growth on our network is growing 20 to 40% per year, depending on which part of the network you're looking at. And so we're constantly looking to reduce cost, simplify that network to help us keep our margins up. So you look at those four things: fiber, speed, low latency, reliability, and simplification. And you say, what's the solution to that? And for us, it's very easy. NG-PON2 meets those future demands. Why? First of all, 4 10-gig wavelengths. As opposed to some of the other 10-gig platforms out there, NG-PON2 starts with 4 wavelengths. You can pay as you grow. So as you need additional wavelength on that fiber, you can simply add another OLT card. So it's very economical for us to add capacity to the network. It also coexists with our GPON wavelengths as well. So we don't have to build a separate PON overlay. We can keep the same fiber, keep the same hubs, keep the same splitters. And we get improved reliability with the 4 wavelengths, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. Tunable optics. This is really cool stuff. If you think about peak demand on your network and you have folks on your PON, a great use case that we're working really hard on is, say you've got one of your wavelengths fully utilized and maybe someone's trying to do speed tests and peg in that network. With NG-PON2, you can look across all those 4 wavelengths, use the tunable optics on those ONTs, and move customers from one PON to another to help relieve congestion, especially at peak. So it's a great way to keep a load balance. Also, say one of your OLT cards in your CO were to have a malfunction. Not that Calix ever has those, but say there was an example where one went down. The ONTs are capable of switching to any of the other wavelengths and maintaining services. This is really important for our business customers. For a residential customer, maybe not so much, although we talked about how customers are relying on that more and more. But certainly for business services, this is very important. The third thing that we have with NG-PON2 is integrated subscriber management. With B-PON and G-PON, we spent a lot of money buying BNGs, gateway routers, if you will, separate network elements to support the OLTs. With NG-PON2, we're integrating that right into the OLT, and it can scale separately from the data plane. This runs on x86 compute and is very scalable, and they can scale separately from the data and user plane. And then finally, universal access. NG-PON2 is perfect for all of our lines of business. So not only can we use it for our FiOS footprint, but we're also going to be using it for small business, enterprise, and 5G mid-haul. So we see NG-PON2 as kind of finally that one fiber access network that we can use for all of our access needs. Okay, so there you have it, NG-PON2 in a nutshell. You've got 4 10-gig wavelengths, tunable optics, integrated subscriber management, and universal access. That's why Verizon's all in on NG-PON2. So let's talk a little bit about some of the cool things that we're doing with this platform. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was software control and automation. Verizon, as part of our Intelligent Edge Network, is introducing an Sdn controller that we call our Base Network Controller, or BNC. And if you think about how our network has been set up in the past, we've had our orchestration, our BSSs, our OSSs, and they talked with our suppliers, the different vendors down at the bottom there, through pairwise interfaces, proprietary, sometimes pairwise interfaces. So every time we wanted to introduce a new supplier, or that supplier wanted to introduce new features, we had to do pairwise integration with them on the OSS. What we're working with the BNC on is creating standard interfaces. So a standard interface northbound to our business support systems, our orchestration layer, and standard config southbound to our suppliers, including Calix. And what this will let us do is dramatically simplify the development process, shrink that time that it takes, reduce our cost per bit, help us get revenue faster, okay? And also improves our network reliability. We're going to be using this platform for something there you see called TAA. That's telemetry, analytics, and automation. And the BNC is going to allow the automation engine that's getting the streaming telemetry and doing the analytics to easily control that network without having to do proprietary one-off interfaces. So let's take a look at how we did this with Calix. What you see there in the middle, in the kind of the red box, is our traditional layers, where we had our operational support systems talking to something we call Venom, VNM. Venom talked to a product from Ericsson called the ECML, which is a mediation layer that we use with Calix, and then we had the Calix EMS, finally to the network element. What we've done, and by the way, this has taken about 2 years of iteration to get working, and this is very typical with us. We get software from the suppliers, it goes into the lab, we test it, we find problems, we send it back, they fix it, we test it, we find problems. We go through the cycle, and literally it's taken us probably 2 years to get to a point where we're ready to deploy under this model. Well, we recently worked with Calix and their team to introduce NetConf-Yang models directly to their network element. And we will get this done. We're not quite there yet, but we think it's going to take about 3 months to do this instead of 2 years. So you can imagine as we go forward the simplicity that this brings to making changes, enhancements, and adjustments to the platform. And so this model we're really happy with. And you can see it helps Calix because when they're working with us, they're going to have straight models that they need to work with. They're going to be able to do their internal testing a lot easier. It's going to help them immensely. And it's going to, for us, make the network more reliable because we're eliminating EMS layers, we're eliminating mediation layers, and it's allowing us to get revenue faster as well and enables our automation needs. Okay, so that's something, one, really cool. 2 years to 3 months. Pretty amazing. Okay, interop. When we started B-PON and G-PON, this was something that we always wanted to be able to do, but we're never able actually to get it accomplished. We wanted to have, for example, OLT and ONT interoperability. So I could use anybody's ONT with anybody else's OLT, right? Makes sense. The other model, when you start to introduce multiple wavelengths, is you want to be able to have two suppliers' OLTs communicating so that if one of the cards should go down or the ONTs can switch between one OLT to another. So you have an ONT out here, it can see both vendors' OLTs and they're coordinating. So interop ONT to OLT and then OLT to OLT. And so why we love this, we think that this will promote growth across the industry by allowing all kinds of suppliers to come in, especially if those that want to make specialty ONTs, you want to integrate these into, say, your 5G radio. So we are very excited about what we can do with interop, and Calix has been a great supporter of this for us, and we're very close to getting this certified and working, so look for an announcement for us on this in the future. But really good work going on here. And I really wanted to close with what are we doing for the future? So if you think back to our BPON platform, it really was our first gen PON, and this supported email, let's say, and basic web browsing. And we offered customers 75 megabits, maybe max symmetrical services. And then we had, I'll call it the OTT video era, and we introduced GPON and our 1 gig symmetrical service. And now I'm happy to announce for the first time in production that we've been able to get 8 gig symmetrical services at our production network in Tampa. This is really exciting because this is going to enable the future. Use cases like AR and VR are going to become real with this network, and we've seen it, it works, it's in production. You guys can bank on this coming and being able to use this. Thanks. All right, so there, kind of summing up, what are we delivering? A dense, deep fiber network, the best way to bring broadband and access to your customers, speed and low latency, extreme reliability, and lots of simplification and cost reduction. So again, thank you to Calix for the opportunity to be here. Thanks to you guys. I'll be around for the next couple days if any of you want to talk about what we're doing and how we can help each other. I'm here, and thank you very much.